Hey, what's up guys? Pixie with Athelstone here with another Rome Total War online battle. And this was submitted through Discord, so you should all join that server. It's amazing, and the lead admin especially is really cool, you know, and the mods and everything, so you should totally join that. But anyways, today I've got a Rome Total War FFA for you with Alexei, Cicero, Athelstone and Hades all the way over there. And he's playing, Cicero's playing as this SPQR, the Senatus Populus Cuius Romanus, the Senate of the People of Rome. And let's take a look at his army first, consisting of legionary cavalry, one unit of cavalry auxiliary, and in the back he's got a early legionary cohort, and Roman armored general, and a early legionary cohort, and another early legionary cohort, and he probably has some more in the forest over there. And let's head over to Hades' army, see what he brought. And it's taking some time since he's deployed so far away on the high ground. And he's got a bunch of slingers, Iberian infantry, slingers, some elephants, some Libyan spearmen, general's armored bodyguard, 2 units of long-shield cavalry, and small spearmen and Iberian infantry. And in the middle we've got Athelstone set up. He's playing as the Seleucids, and he's brought silver shield pikemen, archers, silver shield legionnaires, cataphracts and armoured elephants, and of course onagers. And the thing is with FFAs, if there's only 3 people and you're in the middle, you're in trouble. Because by the looks of it now, Alexei Cicero will instantly come in and he'll probably push Athelstone, and try and take him out first, and that's a great opportunity, for while Hades' army isn't the strongest, it's quite compact, and it could be quite heavy hitting if you can charge in with his cavalry and elephants. But as soon as the battle hits off, Cicero's off with his cavalry trying to skirmish a bit, while the onagers are firing on him. They're standing right in front of the silver shields and throwing their pila, or just regular javelins, inflicting some damage, softening up the line, while being hit by artillery. That's a great shot. Now the archers are trying to fire at them, and they came in contact with the pike line and instantly broke. Now they're pulling back and just wasting some onager shots on him, and we have the cavalry forming up, standing on the high ground. Rest of his army is not really doing anything, just hanging back in the woods, being hidden, and Hades is standing still by the looks of it. So Athelstone is now going to reform his troops and deploy a line to face the legionary cavalry. We're going at 3 times speed until we get some action. And now it looks like the faster legionary cavalry is managing to flank is Athelstone's line, who's deployed facing the enemy infantry instead, and the cavalry auxiliary has come back from fleeing. Now Cicero's going around preparing to do a flank attack. If you can get one of the legionaries in the back or one of the pikemen, that can produce some massive damage. And Athelstone decided to split his army in half, not in half, but leaving some troops facing Hades in case Hades decides to push in. Since being in the middle, you'll be attacked at all flanks. And now the legionary cavalry is moving in, a glorious charge, look at that, right into the underwear pikemen starting to rout. Now they're being pushed back, they'll be surrounded, cataphracts moving in, and cataphracts being quite a lot better than legionary cavalry will dominate them. And they're being slaughtered. Got a huge line fight here, cavalry pulling in, pikes pulling in, legionary cavalry pulling in, legionaries pulling in, and the pikes are coming in to the side, preparing to just squish them and make a shish kebab. Now you can see the artillery is still firing, which will probably inflict a lot of friendly fire if it hits, and it did, and a few cataphracts are dead, but the legionary cavalry is being broken. Elephants coming in, this is a massive attack, and those pikemen are taking them from the rear now, just marching in, sending the pikes through the horses into their death. It's just glorious seeing all those Roman bodies drop to the ground. they've left behind a trail of dead pikemen and dead cavalry. Quite a lot is still dead. And that should be it for the cavalry of Cicero. Oh no, now the cavalry auxiliary is moving in. Running in, trying to maybe get some flank shots on one of the cataphracts and weaken them a bit. He's lost his cav, and Hades' cav is coming up, moving out, trying to have some fun, I guess. And here the cavalry auxiliary is coming in. Let's just have a look at what is in meanwhile. Just walking away from the havoc. And they're all lined up, and we're getting some arrow fire, which will make them drop, and they're charging the onagers in the back. And the onagers start around, the archers are in the back, the cataphracts luckily, for Athelstan at least, manages to push in and round them. And now the onagers are fleeing, but they will come back, and that will keep the onager operational. Now he's formed up in the middle, again facing a bit everywhere. And now it's just a lot of moving around to speed things up as we're trying to reform everything. And we can see one of the archers came back from routing and is now being charged by the Cicero's legionary cavalry, trying to just mow them down and finish them off, and at least suffer casualties that way. And in the back we can see Hades' long shield cavalry charging into the rear of the legionary cavalry, who are tired, having run around everywhere. And now it's now we can see the true 1v1 with the Seleucid, or Seleucid, depending on how you want to say it, archers dying, and the legionary cavalry dying. Just one guy left, and he'll just run across the map back to Rome and tell him what happened. Now they're trying to finish off the last of the archers so they can't catch the rest of the army and pull back. So now, seeing that he can easily be attacked in the rear, this is just glorious. It's a pile of bodies. He's pushing his onagers back to the main line, leaving one unit of cataphracts down to protect it in case the long shield cavalry tries any further business. Now we'll speed things up a bit until we find some more engagement. Hades is still not moving his main armies, just chilling in the back. And oh, there's another unit of archers that have come back from routing. They'll come back quite easily, and when you're in the middle of the battle, in the heat of battle, it can be quite easy to forget you have them. And so therefore Hades will do another pick. He's just seen them, and now he's running away, but the cavalry is too fast and will catch up with the archers. And in the distance we can see Cicero's infantry moving out, preparing to line up. Just double it until... oh, there we go. And you can see the cavalry slowly catching up with the archers. And they make contact and they instantly rout. They'll be mowed down, but the archers managed to run so far that on the onager side you can see they're preparing to fire. You can fire off a few shots, and one of which hits and leaves a massive hole in the middle of the cavalry, leaving a pile of burnt horses and bodies. And there's actually 2 living archers being fired at by their own catapult, or onager, donkey, and they'll just ride off the map. Now he's pulling back, Hades reforming. Now would be a great opportunity for him to push in, because now Athelstan is focusing and turning around and reforming his army to face Cicero's, which is taking the high ground, which means it's over, Anakin. And he'll have he did bring some archers, and since Athelstan's archers died, well, he has 1 unit left, most of them died, he does have the range advantage. But Athelstan has catapults, or onagers, sorry, and play too much medieval, and he'll be able to do something with them. But again, he's splitting his army, has to face both Hades and Cicero, because both may come at him at any moment. Since he's in the middle, it's an FFA, it's no mercy for anybody. So his army is quite spread out, facing a bit here and there, doesn't really have any proper line, while the Romans have lined up in a proper line. You can see they've lined up which have already, and they're standing on top of the hill, getting ready, getting a beautiful view over the Seleucid army and the Hades' Carthaginians. Now they're preparing to move out. They're probably going to push down a bit, getting the archers into range and firing death upon them, while Hades' cavalry is still just running around, having a field day, and they're pulling back to the rest of the army. And he's running them, so they're exhausted and they're very tired, so they won't be at the peak performance. But now Athelstone's moving up his troops. We can double this, or triple this really. It's nothing. They're just forming up their armies, preparing to face each other in what will decide probably the course of the battle. Is the victor here will if the victor here manages to have few casualties and might be able to stand up to Hades. But Hades will probably win now if he starts rushing in, moving, and takes out the Seleucids from the back and then pushes up the Romans who will be so weakened by the Seleucids after the battle. So this is probably where we'll see how the battle ends. So, and the cavalry is moving. They're not actually attacking, they're just forming up by the army. Got some units. Oh, and one of the onagers has been broken by fire. It looks like it's been standing over here and then just fired at the cavalry and destroyed one of the onagers. Which isn't good, but they still have one onager left and ammo, so we'll just leave that facing the Carthaginians if they decide to attack, together with a unit of Silver Shield Legionaries and Silver Shield Pikemen. And now he's put his archers up in front, looking down at us, and he's just standing, trying to make up his mind on whether to attack or just hold. And we can see that the onagers are moving up, getting ready to fire. They're almost in range, or are in range, and just haven't decided to fire yet, waiting for the second one. We can have some extra surprise damage. His generals formed up ready. All this other cavalry is dead, so it's up to this one to do the heavy flanking. And just line up, getting ready. Oh, let's watch. And they're off. Cicero's moving his archers down now, preparing to shoot them because the pike wall probably will succumb to sustained archer fire, since they don't look at the shields, not the biggest, and they don't have the best armor. I mean, the biggest protection is from the pikes, but look at that shot. You can see a massive chunk of dead archers who are now firing upon the enemy. And Hades on the far side of the map is moving out his long shield cavalry and a unit of his elephants, and they'll probably go into the action very soon and they'll be able to do some damage. And now Cicero's pulling down, he's pulled down his legionaries a few steps and getting closer and closer to the enemy. And his archers are quite separated from his line, so they will be the target of the enemy artillery fire. And now he's moving our archers up to face them, and a unit of cataracts trying to catch them. Since the line's so far away, they probably won't be able to run away in time. Now cataracts coming in and manages to take a glorious charge straight into them, dealing a massive amount of damage and killing a huge number of bodies. And there, got one of them in the air, flying, having a feel of the air. He does believe he can fly, or doesn't believe anything, he's dead. And now Cataract's facing in, just crushing them, and now you can see his infantry starting to move out. Oh, managed to knock down, or actually kill this, knock down the standard bearer. So we're pulling his cataracts back as the enemy infantry faces the legionaries of Rome, the pride of Rome, the finest infantry in the world at the time. Preparing to pull down and quickly engage the enemy line, because the onager fire is quite damaging. You can see, look at that, it's just corpses everywhere now. Chunks over there, he's leaving his general behind. Probably not a bad move considering they might die. So now while the line's ready, holding, they will be fighting a downhill battle with their hold. Cavalry is moving up on the flanks, preparing to do some hammer and anvil, and one of the archers has come back and is now shooting the cataphracts and actually killing a few of them, so they'll be charged promptly and dealt with. And they're gone, and we can see now the line's almost about to engage the enemy. There's arrow fire, there's catapult fire, there's pillars being thrown. Look at that, the line's taking massive casualties from pike wall, look at that. And they're really starting to crumble, and they probably won't hold up for long. Now there's another unit moving in, which hasn't taken any casualties. They're moving in and they'll be able to support them. Now the silver shield peelers are throwing drone peelers into the Romans, weakening them. And they have engaged the pikes, just pushing them away and holding them, and avoiding contact, except for a flank where they're being attacked from the side by a huge unit. Now we have some more cataphracts moving in, getting ready to do some hammer and anvil tactics, charging the early legionaries. Then in the back here, the 2 units of legionaries are winning against the pikemen, and then the cataphract charge. And the elephants, it's glorious, look at that. And Hades is still not doing anything, just staying in the back. If he was here right now, he'd be able to just swarm the back of the pikemen, swarm the back of the onagers, and just destroy this Seleucid army. But he doesn't stand a chance. Now again, being attacked in the rear, if you're being attacked by elephants and legionnaires and pikes and cataphracts from all directions, you're probably rout. So now these legionnaires will be running back to Rome, and he's moving in his general for a glorious last charge. He does have honor, he's not a coward, he's preparing to die in battle just like his troops. Now he's charging in, and there's a massive just blob of people, and they instantly rout and he dies. And cataphracts are just overrunning him. That should be the last of the Romans. Let's take a look at the battlefield. You can just see the corpses everywhere from the line, where the silver shields in the beginning took a lot of peeler damage, and then the Romans just were smashed from all directions. Oh, the blobs over here of dead people. It's massive. I mean, this battlefield is going to stink. Look at the horses. Everywhere there's dead people. Oh, and there's an onager and a dead horse and a rider. Almost survived. Now Hades is moving up his cavalry and elephants, probably trying to pick off some of the units while they're reforming. Now we're moving up to the high ground to take the high ground. Anakin, guess what? You should win if you had the high ground, but because Cicero went in, and he would manage to hold up if Hades had come, but he didn't, and that really weakened Cicero, since he didn't really have anything to stand up to the Seleucid army. Now the Longshields just charging in downhill, exhausted, into cataphracts dying, but now the elephants are coming, which should be able to do pretty great against other cavalry, and they're just wreaking havoc. So now we're pulling my elephants out and trying to separate the Seleucid cataphracts, and my general is in the middle in trouble, but then the artillery fire hits the elephants and they go amok, and a bunch of them are dead, which leaves them running in the opposite direction of the cavalry, so we can spread out and survive another day at least. Oh, that actually hit the flying dead guy. Oh, and the line was hit. So the onagers, both a blessing and a curse. So now we're trying to isolate our troops and just... Oh, there goes the elephants. Wild elephants are extremely powerful. They're a bit of a wild card. I mean, they can easily run amok and just die from artillery fire. And he's decided to just kill them off. So now his long shield cavalry has returned. There's not really much they can do. They might be able to sneak around and go for the onagers again, who have been attacked several times. They have sustained a lot of casualties, but they're still alive. No, the line's coming in, and as soon as they make contact with just a single guy, the unit rounds. And as the Cataracts come in to help the onagers, they just run. So now we'll speed things up again. We're just reforming and preparing to face the Carthaginian army, having crushed the Romans and parts of the Carthaginians, especially the elephants, walking just over the pile of dead bodies and corpses with their standards, just marching towards the onagers. The elephants were all marching to, because one of the things the Longshields did was running all over the map, which will make them exhausted, so there's no wonder they routed so quickly. Alright, we're just moving out, triple speeding this. Now it's just standing there, he's probably not aware they'll come back. He seems to be doing some movement over in his army, just forming up and preparing to face everything. Turning out he might be marching towards the Seleucid soon. And you can see the Longshield cavalry is about to be charged by the Silver Shield Legionnaires, which is surprising since pikes really should be the ones to attack cavalry. But anyways, they're wavering, they're exhausted, they've suffered heavy casualties and they're stationary in the back. So quick charge and they're broken. Both units just leaving. First unit losing one guy and the other one losing quite a few more really. And they'll probably be out for the game. They're broken, exhausted. There's some Seleucid archers. So everybody suffers casualties. We can speed this up again as the army's marching. You can just look at this pile of corpses. There's a huge linebackers. This game is old, but I still love it. I'm just marching to victory or defeat. They are fresh. They're fresh cavalries, winded and tired. So if they're able to hold infantry in check and let's see, but since most of his army consists of Iberian infantry, they will be doing quite poorly against both pikemen and elephants and cataphracts, so probably lost this by just bringing the wrong army composition in this fight. But it does have some slingers which have armor piercing damage, so they can be able to take on the cataphracts quite well. So if they can manage to keep them alive, probably flanked by some Libyan spearmen, he can wreak havoc on the cataphracts and weaken them, which might be enough to win the battle. And now the onagers are firing. They've come into range. Oh, and there goes a few Iberian infantry. Well, just one. 4 was knocked from the blast who survived. Now just moving up, spreading out his army a bit so he won't be hit by all the onager fire. The cavalry cataphracts formed up behind, ready to run in either direction to flank or just reinforce the line. But it seems he's probably going to lose this engagement. Now, if he'd charged a bit earlier and attacked while the Seleucids and the Romans were fighting out, and if he'd managed to sweep in here, just crash into the line, he'd do so much damage and he'd probably win the battle. So now the onagers have pulled out a bit, chasing an enemy ran back and therefore going out of the line, so they're pulling back. Now we have them all facing, just alright, aim that way, fired. Not sure how the angle works, but alright. They're just standing out, and he's got one unit of Iberian infantry that's quite isolated over here, so just sending a unit of cataphracts to take them out quickly. Just this charge should be enough against light infantry. He's moving up his troops, can speed this up a little bit. Alright. Now he's moving in, look at that glorious charge. Oh, and the onager fire just before the line hits. Oh, there's another dead guy floating. Oh, the Roman Carthaginians are the same after all. That was glorious, having the... Oh, and the Onager only hit the enemy Carthaginians as well. So there's no wonder they broke in an instant. Now he's moving up some more infantry, and he's just going in for another charge. They're moving, which really isn't good. It's just flying everywhere, but they managed to stop. Now the infantry managed to get a charge on the stationary cavalry, but there's Cataphract, who does have a few chevrons to them, and so they're under trouble, but the slingers are now... Well, the Iberian infantry broke too quickly for the slings to be able to fire, so now the Cataphracts are just running everywhere. So we'll speed things up a bit, and we have some more Cataphracts moving in, attacking. So now it's going to turn into quite a mess with Onager fire, cavalry. Just been the Libyan spearmen actually engaging the Carthaginian cavalry. Oh wait, Seleucid cavalry. And we have some Iberian infantry charging. Cataphracts going out, same story. Oh, they gained a chevron, that's nice. And they're being slaughtered by the Cataphracts. And now they've managed to surround one of the units of Cataphracts. We'll just have to run through, and it's tired. But because of their mass and their speed, and they'll just run through the Iberian infantry. But they are surrounded, so they might be able to overcome the Cataphracts if they actually manage to hold them. If they can get a spearman in and make contact. And they're not as good as pikes against cavalry, but they're still decent. So now, Hades is a lot of his army just routing, and his generals now pulling in from the forest, trying to get some action and turn the tide of the war. Now the Cataphracts are pulling out and managed to not be surrounded anymore, and just chasing a few units on the side, weakening them. Now the infantry is moving in. His generals moving in for the Cataphracts, so just running at full speed. They're fresh. The very tight Cataphracts. They might be able to win, but the other unit of Cataphracts coming in, and they're only warmed up, and there are 86 of them, and they're upgraded. And the line has made contact, the two main battle lines. We can just see them being slaughtered, and there's some more Silver Shield Peeler firing in, slaughtering men, and there'll be another line of dead bodies. And they're pushing in, and there the Carthaginian general dies by the Cataphracts, just as the Roman did. And they're all starting to flee now, and it's turning into a mass rout. The elephants come in, and they're just mopping up everything. It's a glorious sight to see. And now they've only got one unit of slingers left, being chased by cavalry. We'll double it up as they come closer and closer to doom. And let's see, they're making contact, and they're dying, and they're fleeing, and the battle's over. The Seleucids have won. They've triumphed. Now, so here we can look at the replay that we had Athelstan, Cicero, and Hades. Cicero's army was quite balanced. It had a bit of archers, a lot of cav, and a bit of infantry, but he sent them in separately and didn't combine his efforts enough. And Hades just stood back and didn't do anything, and missed a great opportunity to come in and actually win the battle. While Athelstan managed to focus his army and take out one foe at a time with his onagers, infantry and cavalry and everything really. But I have to say that this was a really fun battle to play, and it was organised through Apollo's Discord. You should all come join it, and have a good evening, nights.